What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV back here for another match review for you guys today. We have beaten Crystal Palace by 3-1 yesterday at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We got all the usual bits of content coming for you today. Player ratings, match review, 5 takeaways, reacts. We'll get into the review first. We had a bit of a different experience yesterday, sitting in the H Club, not sitting in the South Stand yesterday. And it's quite amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah, I had an unbelievable day. We were served very, very well by the Spurs staff, and having the 5-course meal was incredible. They had just non-stop flowing alcohol. It was a real unbelievable experience.
You feeling it today?
A bit, maybe a bit. I don't remember what happened. Did we win? Yeah. No, I'm joking. But it was really, really amazing. And if you watch the vlog, you'll see what kind of an amazing experience it is. And we had the privilege. Luckily, we were invited by someone who doesn't want to be named. He wants to be remain anonymous, but we were invited by them to join them in the H Club, and it was a privilege to be there. It was really wonderful.
It really was, and really nice touches as well from the club, bringing in legends and them greeting you. And at the end of the game, wasn't it, like Gary Mabbutt came in to talk to us, Mickey Hazard came in to talk to Ozzy Ardiles as well.
The original Tottenham Aussie.
The original Tottenham Aussie. And we've even got an interview with James Maddison. Obviously, we didn't interview him, but Paul Coit did for the whole of the corporate kind of space. Cliff Jones singing "It's a Grand Old Team to Play For." It was just a really nice day yesterday, wasn't it?
It was nice. And we said hi to Paul Coit as well. Really lovely to see him. We've seen him a few times over the years. We've gotten to know each other a bit, and we saw Ben Haynes and Rob Daly after the game as well, which was really, really nice. So it was just an all-round great day.
Yeah, it really was, and we got 3 points, which was the main thing. But look, let's get into the match review. There's been a lot said about the game. Maybe at halftime, a lot of Spurs fans were a bit annoyed, a bit angry for not creating as many chances as we probably should have, which is true. I do think we didn't create anywhere near as much in the first half, maybe, as we should have. We had that chance from Timo Werner when he goes around the keeper, doesn't score. But I think on reflection of the game, when you look at it, the whole 90 minutes, I think it was a pure domination job from minute 1 right until the end of the game. I think we completely dominated that game, didn't we?
Yeah, and we obviously had a lot of the ball. I think that was the plan for Palace, allow Tottenham to have possession, make sure they're playing the whole game in front of you, and make sure that you're very well organised. Their back 5 was very much a back 5 instead of 3 centre-backs and 2 wing-backs. Mitchell and Munez, or what's his name? Nunez, the right-back. Munoz. They barely went forward. They barely adventured into our half. When they didn't look very comfortable. They looked much more comfortable when they were defending in their own half. Obviously, you had Lerma and Wharton sitting in front, though, back 3 as well. So you literally had a back 5, and then also Eze and Ayew were tracking back the whole time. Pretty much a lot of the time, it was just Mateta up by himself, and he was causing us a bit of trouble. Remember, Van de Ven looked like he picked up an injury in that first half, dealing with Mateta a couple of times. He threatened on the counter, but obviously he didn't really fashion any sort of opportunities or anything like that. We were containing Palace pretty well, but beautiful pass, by the way, from Sonny to play him through on goal. And it's classic Werner. When he has too much time to think about something, he overthinks it and ends up missing the chance, which he did yesterday. And then the other chance we had was, Basuma plays it forward to Maddison. He plays out wide to Kulusevski. He actually found Emerson in some good space, but Emerson wasn't able to pick out Son. But it was another kind of transitional moment. But when Palace were organised, when they were set in their defence, we had very little answer, to be honest. It was really difficult to kind of get any sort of opportunities in that first half.
Yeah, and I think it was a case yesterday where, like I said before, at halftime, a lot of fans were frustrated with the way that we couldn't break down a Palace team. But with the way that they were set up, three centre-backs on the pitch, basically a back 4, up and then in the midfield was like a straight back, midfield 4. It was like incredibly difficult to break down a team with so many men. But what I liked about Spurs yesterday is that we kept going, and we finally blew that house down. 3 goals in the last 11 minutes or whatever it was, 12 minutes. But I do think that Spurs came out with a bit of a renewed sense of energy in that second half. As much as maybe for the first half an hour or first 25 minutes of the second half, we weren't getting the goals. I think we were creating the chances. Sonny hit the post. Timo Werner was putting in some lovely crosses. And I would say there was a massive difference from Timo Werner from the first half to the second half. I thought in the first half, he was probably our most player that looked like a chance was going to come from. He was getting the ball. He was attacking his man. It's just his end product was pretty poor. But I think that changed in the second half where he was putting in good deliveries. He got his goal as well, first goal for the football club. And in that second half, that was by far his best display in a Spurs shirt.
Well, the difference was he was trying to get to the byline in that second half as many times as possible whenever he got the ball. In that first half, he would pick up the ball and he kept checking back. He kept passing it back to a free player instead of really committing the defender. And that was a big difference I felt in that second half of Timo Werner. I don't know if maybe it was instruction from Ange, but I felt like in that second half, every time he got the ball, he was going down the line and he was asking different questions of the Palace defence, and they struggled to deal with it. And I actually thought his delivery was pretty good. He set up a chance for Brendan Johnson, who fired over the bar. He had that flash across the face of goal, which, if Brendan Johnson was on at that time, maybe he'd be tapping it home with the back post.
I think Kulu's got to be doing better to try and get there, though.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, he wasn't there at the back post, and so he had a few moments like that, obviously, and then he got his goal. And he also had another shot which Sam Johnson, he forced a save out of Sam Johnson as well in that second half. So much improved performance, but it was hairy because at 0-0, having struggled to break down Palace, I know what first 15 minutes of the second half we did all right. We hit the post, we had a few openings, but still at that point it'd been fairly difficult to break Palace, and I actually felt at that point they were fairly comfortable at stifling us. And then they get that free kick. Eze puts Eze on a counter, gets fouled on the edge of the box from Bentancur.
Stupid foul to give away from Rodrigo.
It's difficult to say because I think Eze was going somewhere. It's not like he wasn't in a dangerous position.
I think there were many men around him, and I think he would have been stopped, to be honest. And I think it was a bit reckless from Rodrigo. But what was annoying,
but if he doesn't foul him and he goes and scores, you say, I'll bring him down.
I get that, but I do think he would have been stopped. Van der Ven, Eze was dominating. Van der Ven was dominating everyone in those areas of the pitch all day long, and I do think there were many more men around him where Bentancur probably didn't need to hack him at that point, and it was, Eze can put them in from there. We've seen it time and time again. And what was Vicario doing with that wall for the free kick?
I think Vicario has to take a bit of responsibility for that goal, to be honest, because I think they should have read what was going to happen, because Palace clearly set up that second wall because they wanted to block Vicario's view.
Clear shot just in that area.
They set up a second wall. Usually the teams do that because they want to block the view of the goalkeeper, because the free kick taker is set to go the goalkeeper side. That's usually the indication. So he should have seen that coming. And what was really disappointing is when Eze was stepping up, Vicario made a step to his right as if to be ready for the ball to go over the wall. Yeah. And then Eze did what Vicario should be inspecting, which he went goal side. And Vicario, once he made one step to the right, he couldn't quite make it back to his side. So I thought it was a bit disappointing. If he would have stuck his position and would have realised that Eze is very likely to go his side, he probably would have stopped it, but he kind of jumped the gun a bit.
And the wall was so far over to the left-hand side, or the keeper's right-hand side. I didn't understand why it was so far over. It didn't need to be that far over.
Because that's how it is. That's how most goalkeepers set up their wall. They put it over.
It was too far over, though, is what I'm saying. They should have shifted over a bit more to the right. Like, there was a lot of the side of the goal was being blocked, not even the whole of the left-hand side of the goal. It was way too far over that wall.
I'll have to look at that again. I didn't notice that. But in terms of where the free kick went, Vicario should, I think, not taking anything away from Eze. It was a brilliant strike. It was right in the corner. Really, really good effort.
If Vicario doesn't take that step over to the right-hand side, he saves it.
I think he saves it, It was in the corner, but he should be saving it, really. I think he'll be disappointed in himself. So at that point, Eze's put them 1-0 up. We've struggled to break them down, and it was looking very, very difficult to see how Spurs were going to turn this around and how we were going to get back on top. But luckily for us, I think the arrival of Brendan Johnson was a big turning point in the game.
Yeah, it was. He changed the game completely. And I was saying to the guy next to me that I always felt like Spurs were going to score a goal. And once you get that one goal, it was very likely probably another goal was going to follow that. And that's exactly what did happen. Brennan Johnson came on straight away. He was being very aggressive, attacking those spaces. Joachim Andersen didn't really know how to deal with him in that moment of time. I did think maybe he got a bit fortuitous, maybe to beat that second man. But nonetheless, I think it was his endeavour that really got us in those moments, in those areas of the pitch, and a lovely ball in the back post of Timo Werner.
Yeah, it was a brilliant work for him, because you've got to remember, Andersen has the ball in very little danger, and Johnson's kind of chasing a lost cause, and he's able to nick the ball off him, then get round him, then ride another challenge, maybe a bit fortuitously, but if he doesn't go into that challenge full throttle, he doesn't come away with it, and then he has the presence of mind to pick out Werner at the back post, right on cue, and right on the spot as well. Perfect pass. And look, Johnson's shown he's adept to those pullbacks now. He's done it a few times already for Spurs, and actually, to be fair to Johnson, he got an assist for the third goal as well. So that's now 6 assists, 3 goals and 6 assists all of a sudden. So you look at his numbers, that's 9 goal contributions this season so far. Obviously, you still want it to be better, but he's starting to get them fairly regularly. And also, it's his 5th goal contribution off the bench. So he's really showing he's a very effective bench option for us. The fact I think he's got 2 goals and 3 assists off the bench, so really effective when he comes off the bench. And I thought he was really great in that second half. In the last 15 minutes or so against Palace, I thought they struggled to deal with him. And I also felt like obviously putting Kulu in the centre again gave us that a bit more creativity, a bit more options, and it was a lot harder for Palace to contain us. But it does beg the question. It's happened a few times now where we've started Kulu like on the right, and obviously Bentancur or Sarr next to Maddison, and then it seems to be the case more often than not that it's not going right, and Ange is forced to put Kulu back in the centre next to Maddison or Celso.
It's whoever we start on the right-hand side just doesn't, kick on from the off. When Brendan Johnson starts on the right, he plays poorly. When Kulu starts on the right, he plays poorly. I mean, I don't know what it is. I can't really put my finger on it. And then we make changes, and like you said, Brendan Johnson has been a brilliant option off the bench. It's just when he starts, is kind of the issue, isn't it?
Yeah, but we do see it, for me, like we do seem to look better when we have like kind of 2 kind of number 10 / 2 very attacking midfielders like a Maddison next to like a Kulusevski. So I do wonder whether Ange will consider, maybe not against Villa, but maybe consider going forward in games like this, like Palace. He does start with 2 number 10s, because it seems to be a pattern that we struggle to break the team down, then he's forced to go in that direction, and then we get a bit more joy, and all of a sudden we look a lot more creative. So maybe in these kind of games, he has to have the foresight to maybe start with a bit more of an attacking lineup to really force the issue early on, rather than wait till we're chasing the game. And then
he has done it before, though, hasn't he? Like when we had all of those injuries, I think against Villa at home, he did it, didn't he? Kulusevski, Giovanni Lo Celso in the middle of the park. So maybe it's something he has to go back to. And you've got to remember, in that game against Villa, we were at like our creative and attacking best in those first 20-25 minutes before Bentancur went off. So there's definitely a case for it.
Yeah, I felt like he did that because of our injuries, though. He didn't do it because that's how he wants. Well, I haven't seen evidence he's done that because maybe that's how he wants to play. Albeit, I remember against City, he did start it like that. I think it was Lo Celso next to Kulusevski, and then he changed it at half time. He brought Højbjerg on, I remember. But I'm just thinking, I'm not saying in every game, I'm just thinking in games like this, Palace at home, where they're going to sit 5, you maybe start with that. And I think that maybe, because he keeps having to go back to it. So you might as well, I think, maybe start with it if that's what seems to be working against these teams, and then maybe against the better teams like the Villa, you can go, add a Sarr or Bentancur with a bit more box to box and a bit more steel.
I just thought Crystal Palace were going to offer a lot more than what they did yesterday, especially with Eze on the breakaways and stuff like that. And I felt we stifled them so well. And Mickey van de Ven and Coutinho Romero were brilliant. The fullbacks as well, from a defensive point of view, Emerson and Udogie, I thought both played really well, particularly Emerson. I mean, Emerson got Romero out of jail at a point in the first half with a lovely last gasp challenge where Palace could have scored if he didn't put that challenge in. So for all the kind of criticism that Emerson gets, I think he put in a really good display yesterday, albeit, on the ball, progressing the ball up the field. you know what you're going to get with Emerson, and we saw that yesterday. But from a defensive standpoint, I thought that was our best defensive display in a long time.
Yeah, much better than the Wolves game, and I actually felt he dealt with Eze fairly well when there was opportunities for Eze to take him on. I thought he was up to the challenge, and actually he was a bit involved. I mean, not massively, but in the first goal, obviously he played that ball over the top looking for Johnson, which obviously forced a mistake out of Anderson, so a bit involved in that goal. He made a very good run in that first half, which nearly led to a chance for Sonny to put us 1-0 up. So much better than the Wolves game. Obviously, he still has his deficiencies, but maybe you got to sometimes players you got to give him a bit of a break for the Wolves game, because he's probably been so long since he's played and even started in that right back position. Sometimes it takes a player 90 minutes or so to get back into their rhythm, and he looked a lot more into his rhythm in this game, a lot more assured in possession. Still, obviously not perfect. He's not Porro level or anything like that, but he was a lot more assured, a lot less of like a liability than he was in that Wolves game, where he was just losing the ball for fun and was actually getting beaten quite easily defensively as well. So that was really positive that he was able to step in and actually put in a pretty good display. Yeah,
and then we spoke about the Timo Werner goal, which was great, and 3 minutes later Spurs are in the lead. A lovely dinked ball over the top from James Maddison, and Cuti Romero's there to give the keeper no chance really with that header. I thought brilliant header into the back post from Cuti Romero, and that's 4 goals this season for Romero. Goals, yeah. Can you remember a time a centre-back has scored 4 or more goals for Spurs? Because I can't.
Ooh, I think potentially in Vertonghen's first season at Tottenham.
That's a long time ago. 2012 you're talking about.
Yeah, 2012. That's probably the last time I can think of it.
Did he even get 4 goals? Because I remember he came in with a big reputation of that. He scores a lot of goals.
I remember he scored a brace at Anfield.
Yeah.
And I remember he scored that great goal
at
against
Old Trafford.
He scored at Old Trafford, and he scored that great goal against Swansea where he flicked it, where Bale played it over the top.
Yeah. I know.
I think that was 4 goals. Maybe there was a 5th one in there as well. But I think since that season, maybe Toby, one season as well. He might have got 3 or 4 goals one season. Apart from that, yeah, very rare. And he's been really stepping up. And actually, looking at the goal as well, it was not an easy goal. Obviously, first of all, the Maddison lobbed assist was really fantastic pass. He had to get that right, because a bit more power, and that's very easily going into the keeper's arms. A bit less power, and the defender very easily clears that. So it had to be really pinpoint to get it right on Romero's head. But Romero had a lot to do it, even when it got to him, because there wasn't that much power on that pass from Maddison. As much as it was pinpoint, he had to really just glance it with perfection right into the corner, and you could see Johnston was so close to it. If the header wasn't right in the corner, then Johnston easily saves it. So it was actually a really great glancing header from Romero. Did really well to get up early, get up ahead of, I think it was Joel Ward, get up ahead of the defender and just glance it in. And you know what? We've actually, again, it's a bit of a pattern with us at home when we score goals. Sometimes it does come in bunches. I remember a few times. I remember Bournemouth at home, Brentford at home, Everton at home, so a few times. It's like when we score one, our tails go up and then we go and get another. So we're quite good at capitalizing on momentum. It seems like at home when we're on top. So that's something really positive, and obviously we took full advantage of that against. Yesterday.
Yeah, and straight after the goal, we make those changes. Pat Mate Sarr comes on, Højbjerg comes on for Werner and for Maddison. And then a few minutes later, Heung-min Son's bearing down on goal, and you just had no doubt in your mind that he was going to miss that. I mean, unbelievable finish. That's straight out the Heung-min Son playbook. He basically just showed Timo Werner how to do it, basically, because it was very similar chance to what Timo Werner had in the first half, but Werner made a bit of a cock up of it, and Heung-min Son, at his clinical best, just slotted it into the bottom right-hand corner, and it was great to see Sonny get back on the score sheet. His first goal since coming back from the Asia Cup.
Yeah, it was essentially the same chance as Werner, and you saw just the confidence Sonny had. Werner tried to do too much. I think he thought the keeper was going to come out, he was going to round him, but the keeper didn't actually commit himself as much as he thought. But when Sonny looks at it, pretty much the same position, but he went to slot it home instead of overcomplicating it, trying to round the keeper and all these different things. He just went to slot it home because he knows what a great finisher he is. So it definitely showed Werner what to do in that kind of situation. But Sonny, when he gets there, as you say, he's the most clinical finisher there is. And that's also the difference between having someone like him up front and Richarlison, because I don't think if Richarlison's in that same position, I think two things. Number one, I don't think he would have had the pace to really get away from the defender like Son did. And number two, I don't know if he would have had the composure to finish like Son did in that kind of situation. There's a reason why I think out of Richarlison's 10 goals, I think apart from one, they've all been one-time finishes because he doesn't like to think about his finishes. In fact, didn't he have a similar one not so long ago against like Brighton where he went for a one-on-one a bit too much time and couldn't finish it. So that's what someone like Son gives you when he plays that number 9. When he's getting in behind and he's got a chance at that, 9 times out of 10 he buries it. Well, on the flip side, he did struggle, I felt, to get the opportunities that maybe Richarlison would have had in that number 9 position for those first time finishes, which I felt Palace were able to stifle him when we were kind of putting crosses in the box and trying to get him involved. Apart from when Son came deep a bit, he wasn't able to get on the end of any sort of cross in the box, which obviously that's what Richarlison gives you. So there is a bit of give and take, but it was nice to see Son back in the front line, to be back in the number 9. And I thought he had a pretty good game overall.
He did, and it was his ball that played Werner through in the first half, which was a lovely ball, by the way. It really was. And I think that was pretty much the only kind of real good attacking bit of play from Sonny that we saw in that first half. But second half, I thought he came alive a lot more. That movement to create the space for Timo Werner for his goal, I thought was absolutely brilliant. Bit of genius from Heung-min Son. He hit the post as well. So, on another day, Sonny could have had more goals, to be honest. And I think that you saw the real value of him as having number 9, especially when Palace tucked up the pitch a little bit more. Not only is he there to run in behind, but he's there to play those balls through in behind as well. So I think it was a really good display from Heung-min Son. And he's just like, when Richarlison's there, you need those instinctual finishes where you need to get in those right spaces at the right moment at the right time, where Sonny, I think he can do it all, to be honest, apart from maybe cross it in the box in the air and him to win the headers. That's the only thing that I think probably Richarlison has over him.
I'm very much looking forward to see. I think obviously if Richarlison can't play next week, I'm much looking forward to see how Son gets with
against that high line,
high line of Villa, especially if Longley is going to be starting, because I think he's going to be licking his lips at that. And if you remember the game at Tottenham Stadium, I think didn't he score like a hat trick of offside goals, didn't he, Heung-min Son? So like a few of the times it was just an inch or two in it where he could have been in behind. So I think getting Son that one game up front in lieu to next week was going to be very important, and it's going to be a massive game next week. But yeah, I think, what was it now, 13 goals in the league and 6 assists for Sonny, and keeps up that astonishing goal contributions that he's been having this season, and I think he's been absolutely fantastic. So I'm enjoying it, and there's another great finish from him, and it sealed off the win really well. And I think after that you seal the third goal and you come away feeling it was a really well-deserved victory, and we played some really nice football at times. But I don't think you can forget the struggles we did have in the first 70 minutes. Not struggles in terms of... I thought yesterday was the first time we had real good control of a game for the first time. We've had games where we've had possession, but we've given away chances and we haven't been able to control the game, even with lots of possession. But yesterday was a bit different. We had lots of possession, and yes, we didn't create that much, but at least we controlled the opposition, didn't give up too many chances, even though we did go 1-0 down. We contained them really well. And then once the pressure was too great for Palace, the pressure told, and we ended up getting the victory. So it was a lot better overall, I felt, than definitely the Wolves game, and even some home games we've won in previous weeks. It was probably a better performance on those as well, and let's hope we can build on that going for the last 12 games of the season.
But how many times have you seen like a team like Palace that set up the way they do just stifle real top teams? They've done it to Man City so many times. I'm pretty sure they've done it to Arsenal over the previous years as well. And what good teams do, they don't stop, they keep going, and they finally find a way to break down that barrier. And that's exactly what we did yesterday. So I don't think it was like a vintage Tottenham display by any stretch of the imagination, but it was pure domination. We got the job done, and it was very much a deserved victory for Tottenham yesterday. And I think it was probably, when you're looking at the form Spurs are on, it was our best display for a while now.
Yeah, probably our most complete display, I would say, probably since the Newcastle game, where we beat them 4-1.
And that Newcastle game was when?
December.
Was early December.
Yeah.
So it's a while now.
It's a while since we've had a game where we've just been on top. But it wasn't even yesterday wasn't exactly a comfortable victory because you have to still left it late. But obviously the first time we've won by 2. When was the last time we won by more than 2?
Last time we won by more than 2 was
2 or more, sorry.
Bournemouth.
That was also
3-1.
And that was also a close game.
Yeah.
That could have, Bournemouth were well in that game.
So before Bournemouth was Newcastle.
Yeah.
Was Forest and Newcastle.
So it's, these victories are not easy to come by, unless they're very, very tight. And this game was very tight, but luckily we still did with the third goal late on. But look, I'm happy. I'm happy with the performance. I'm happy with the football he played. I'm happy as well that Werner got his goal. Johnson's looking good again. Hopefully it gives them confidence.
I think Werner needed that yesterday.
Yeah.
He needed that, especially after that miss in the first half, because, there were lots of groans and moans about Timo Werner in that first half from the fans. You could hear it around the stadium. And for him to finally get that first goal, get that monkey off his back, because that first half, we were sitting there being like, that is just classic Timo Werner.
Well, after that miss, there was like a cliche Werner miss. It was like, if you were to picture in your mind what's like a standard Werner miss, it was probably exactly what it was in the first half.
But you got to give credit to him, dusted himself off at half-time, came out a much better player. I thought he was brilliant in that second half. He really was.
Yeah. And that's what we need him to do regularly. We need him to be getting to the byline, getting those balls across the face of goal and cause problems for the defenders. Because when he gets in that mode where he's getting the ball, but he's not looking positive and he's not getting his defender, he becomes a lot less of an effective player. And that's something he needs to work on.
If he can put in those second half displays consistently for Tottenham from now until the end of the season, he gives a question to ask to the hierarchy and to Ange Postecoglou if we want to keep him or not. Because then it becomes a real option to have Timo Werner, for that kind of money coming off the bench, even starting in some games when we've got injuries, because you still want to sign another one if Timo Werner stays. But if he puts in performances like he has been prior to that, you probably don't want to keep him. But, if he can put those in consistently, it's a question.
Yeah, and you've got to remember, he's only, a few games into his Tottenham career. It's not like he's been here a long time. And it's the first game he's played with Sonny up front as well. Different dynamic. I think that kind of helped, and maybe it worked a bit as well in that second half. So I'm excited to see where it goes with him. But I guess we have questions as to what we're going to do on the right. I actually thought Kulusevski had a pretty good second half as well. I thought he created some good chances, actually, in the second half. But it's a decision that Ange has to do, because Johnson came off the bench and did really well. Kulu was setting up chances. What does he do going into next week? Who does he play? Who does he drop? It's a decision to make.
Yeah. Another player I want to talk about is Yves Bissouma. I thought it was a much better display from him yesterday. Much, much better. More to definitely in the right direction for Yves. I thought from a defensive standpoint, he was flawless throughout the whole game. I don't think anything got past him. He was aggressive. He was winning the ball back time and time again. And I felt he even took it up a notch in the second half where he became a bit of that driving force, which we know he can be.
Yeah, much more positive. Looked a lot more confident. There was a few moves that started because he was a bit more risk-taking rather than just playing it safe like he has been recently. I do wonder why he's played it a bit safer. I think cast my mind back to the City game where obviously we're drawing and he's trying to dribble his way out of trouble and he gives that goal away. Ever since then, I feel like there's been a bit of fear in his game, like just in terms of
the Man City.
Man City away, when where we could have lost 3-2, but luckily we got a late goal. I feel like ever since that moment, like a bit of fear has come into his game. Like he doesn't try those risky things anymore.
Knocked him a bit, yeah.
Yeah, it's like he wants to play it safe all the time. He's just playing it backwards, and maybe like he thought at that moment, oh, maybe I'm doing too much, I'm risking too much. But I think he's gone too much the other way now. I thought there was a bit more of that yesterday, riskier passes, maybe a bit more of a dribble when in a dangerous situation rather than just playing the safe option. Still not as much as we've seen previously, but maybe hopefully he starts to get back to taking a few more risks. So I think that is what made him so effective. Is that in that first 10 games he was constantly taking risks and committing players and forcing them out of position, and it just created space for the likes of Maddison and Sarr and whoever up front as well to be more effective in the final third. When he's just playing it safe and playing everything in front of the opposition, it's a lot more easier for them to track everyone else and control what we're doing. So I thought it was much better from Bissouma. Still not the best we've seen from him, but it was a step in the right direction. Let's hope he can really build on that.
Yeah, and we're going to need him now for these, last quarter of the season. It's very good, in my opinion, that he's got back to that kind of form now going in to these big stretch of games. And another player that I want to mention that we have mentioned already, but is Mickey van de Ven. What a performance it was from him. He had a real physical battle on his hands with Mateta, particularly in that first half. And I felt like he came out on top every single time. Every single time. I mean, the pace he has, the strength he has, everything about him is ready-made for the Premier League, and you're seeing that week in, week out from Mickey van de Ven. And Mateta could get no spare change out of him whatsoever. Even when it looked like Mateta was going to win the battle, Van de Ven just came back and absolutely bodied him. And I thought it was an unbelievable physical battle to watch from the stands, and albeit a mighty performance from Mickey.
Yeah, and I felt like there was even that moment, obviously, near the start of the game, I think it was, 10 minutes in, where they had their first kind of duel, and Van de Ven comes out on top, but obviously looked like Mateta had injured him, or, there was a very... it was a very strong challenge, and Van de Ven stayed down. He was actually hobbling for about 5 minutes, wasn't he? And then he stayed down, and we were like, "Oh God, has he injured him?"
We were fearing the worst at that point. Where we were like, "Please, Mickey, just get up."
But luckily for us, he was okay. He was able to continue, and Mateta barely laid a glove on him ever since. And I've seen Mateta even against City give him a lot of trouble. He's a very physical presence. He sows a lot of chaos. He just gets forward and he hassles and harries and doesn't give you a moment's rest. But thanks to Van de Ven, we were just able to deal with him and very, very comfortably, and he wasn't able to really trouble us that much. So Mickey was yet again so crucial to Spurs just stifling Crystal Palace and not allowing them to get up the pitch. And every time that duel seemed to happen, Van de Ven just came out on top and got Tottenham the possession back, and obviously that went a long way to winning us the game. So really expertly done by Mickey, and he's been so great recently ever since he's come back from that injury. He's been great the whole season, to be honest, and what a jewel we have, it looks like.
Yeah, and in terms of Rodrigo Bentancur, I did saw like flashes in there of like the old Bentancur, the silky touches and moves, but they were few and far between. I do feel like you're not seeing a fully fit and a fully on form Rodrigo Bentancur just yet, but you did see those flashes coming in yesterday, didn't you?
Yeah, I don't think he did anything badly, except for obviously he gave away that free kick, which people have criticised him for. I thought he was looking decent. Sometimes it seems like he was trying to force the issue a bit too much with his passing. Could have kept it a bit simpler, but then that's what I want as well. I want him to take risks. What I would say is when he was taken off for Johnson on the hour mark, he looked quite sad when coming off the bench, and I was looking over to him, and he went to sit down. He had his head in his hands like that. He was just a bit. He needed someone to console him because he just looked quite unhappy with his own performance. And obviously, he's quite self-aware about his performance not being at the level that it can be or should be, playing for this team. And I feel for him because we know how good he is on his day, and when he's at his very best, he's one of the best in the league. So I still think he's like building himself up, maybe still building up that match fitness. Obviously, it was a big choice from Ange to play him over Sarr, wasn't it? Because
Sarr was carrying an injury, Ange said.
Was he?
Yeah.
And apparently, we saw at the end of the game, he sat down a bit.
Ange said before the game that Sarr's been carrying a back injury since the AFCON, and he's not been 100% when he has been playing. So he decided to give him a bit of a rest.
Okay, that makes more sense then. So let's just hope Bentancur can try and get back to form. I don't think he was terrible yesterday. I think he's definitely had worse performances, like the game against Brighton, where he was giving it away constantly. He wasn't.
I think that's his best display since the Man United game.
Probably, but you got to remember most of the time he's been taken off early. Yeah. And even this game he got taken off early. So I do wonder whether he's been taken off early because he's been playing terribly, or because maybe he's still not quite match fit, potentially.
I think, look, you heard from Alistair Gold what he said a few weeks ago, didn't he? That the Spurs medical team don't expect him to be fully fit until next season. You won't see the best of Bentancur till next season. And that's going to be very frustrating for him, very frustrating for everyone. But, that's why I think, he's very frustrated, because he's getting the minutes on the pitch. He's just not fully fit yet. And he knows he's got so much more to give. We know he's got so much more to give. So I think it's just going to be a patience thing with Rodrigo Bentancur, and the more minutes he gets is going to be the most valuable for him, and we're going to see the best of him next season. That's probably the situation.
Yeah, completely agree.
But look, it was really good to get 3 points yesterday. It was just unfortunate that we did have to concede that free kick because Palace, apart from that, just didn't have any chances on goal. Vicario, I think that was the only shot he faced yesterday, was the free kick.
Yeah, he did force get that one save from Ayew, but he was offside, wasn't he? So
yeah,
I think that doesn't really count. But apart from that, I don't remember any sort of chance Palace had.
It's like the only chance that they had. So it was very, very annoying that for the one shot they do have, it does go in, because we should have kept a clean sheet yesterday. That's the truth of it. And we haven't kept a clean sheet, I think, since Nottingham Forest in December, which is crazy to think about.
It was their only shot of that second half.
Yeah, which is
one, not even on or off target, just one shot they had.
Mad.
That was from that free kick.
It's mad. That's how fully dominated they were throughout the game. And I haven't seen Spurs put in a completely dominating performance like that in a while, where from start to finish you couldn't really see Palace do anything, to be honest. And yes, it took Spurs a while to break them down, and it was quite frustrating at times to watch, but I always felt like Spurs were completely dominating here, and we were very unlucky to go in behind, and we got what we deserved right towards the end of the game. So it was a good performance. Hopefully we can build on this performance now, and it doesn't get any easier with going to Villa Park next week.
No, what a massive game, and it sets up nicely. Obviously Villa got that last minute winner, which was a bit gutting. Looked like they were set to drop points away to Luton, which would have been a massive boost for us, and could have meant if we win and went there and won, we go level on points with them, which would have been really good. Wasn't to be. We're still in a decent position. It just means we kept pace with them. 5 points behind with a game in hand, so all to play for. Look, I think the most important thing is we don't lose. If that gap goes to 8 points, then it's starting to look like a bit of a stretch. I think as long as it's at 5 points with the game in hand, you'll still fancy your chances. Especially, I know we got tough fixtures coming up, but so do Villa, and they got European football as well. So look, I think it's going to be a good race.
Villa's next 3 away games, they go to West Ham, Man City, and Arsenal.
That's going to be difficult.
3 away games.
That's going to be, and even in our tough run, we do have tough games. We go to Newcastle away, Liverpool away, but at least Arsenal and City are at home. So, we are better at home than we are away. Maybe when we get the crowd behind us in these big games, maybe we can really give them a game. At least Villa, when they play these really tough games, a lot of them are away from home, so it's going to be difficult for them.
And their home games in between there, they got Wolves, Brentford, and Bournemouth, and none of those are particularly that easy. Wolves, I think, will set up exactly the way Villa will probably set up the exact way Wolves will probably want them to set up. And, if Neto's fit, I don't know, he went off at half-time yesterday. I'm not sure what the situation is there. They'll be able to really hurt them on the counter-attack. So I think Villa are going into a really hard run of games now. So I think even if we do lose at Villa, it'll be a kick in the teeth, but I don't think it's a foregone conclusion if we do lose.
It's not a foregone conclusion, but 8 points at this stage of the season is pretty significant, even with 13 games to go.
Yeah, but like I'm saying, with those games,
they still drop
a lot of those games.
Yeah, but they'll look at our games as well and think we're easily going to drop. So we just look. I think 8 points is a gap we don't want. That's for sure.
Of course we don't want it. Of course we don't want it. But I still think if we lose at Villa Park, there's still chances for us to bring it back. I don't think if we lose at Villa Park and it goes 8 points with a game in hand, then there's no overturning that.
No, I agree. But put it this way: I think right now we're still slight favourites for it, even with the points gap. I think if Villa win, it does go to them. They will become favourites.
Well, we spoke to Gary Mabbott yesterday after the game, and he said there's no chance Villa keep this up to the rest of the season. He's like, they're 100% dropping. Yeah. So believe in Gary Mabbott.
And then Watkins went and scored a second.
Yeah. But look, that is our match review yesterday. A very good performance at times at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium yesterday. Full domination in a 3-1 win. Let's go on to our player ratings and start off with Big Vic. Sim gives him a 7. I gave him a 6. I only had to contend with one shot on the day, and he did let it in. I thought it was a bit of poor goalkeeping from Vicario as well to let that in. And apart from that, he didn't really have anything to do for the whole game. So unfortunately, I had to give him a 6.
Yeah, to be fair, I didn't really consider he was probably more quite at fault for the goal, especially with how that. Look, I think it was so obvious how Palace was setting up that free kick that they were going to go goalkeeper side. So he should have been ready for that, and I'm not sure why he wasn't. I think they made it pretty clear that's what they were going to do, and the fact he let it in and took a step to his right is very disappointing. So he does deserve a bit of criticism for that. In my mind, I was thinking about that save he made from Ayew, which was a really brilliant save, but it was actually offside, so it wouldn't have counted anyway. But it was a really good one-handed save off Ayew. But other than that, he conceded his only shot actually on target, so maybe didn't quite deserve a 7. But obviously he didn't have that much to do, did he?
No, nothing. Literally nothing apart from the free kick. Moving on to Emerson Royale. Sim gives him a 7. I gave him a 7. Much better from Emerson, in my opinion, after the Wolves game, which I thought he was really poor. He responded to that and he came out a lot more confident, especially in defence yesterday. I thought that in the first half, he got Romero out of jail massively when Romero was caught out of space. And I thought throughout the game, he just defended spot on. I think he was defensively flawless. It's just like on the ball, progressing the ball up the pitch. I think you know what you're going to get with Emerson, and it's not very good, albeit he did have his hand in the first goal.
Yeah, really improved from Emerson. I thought he was shocking last week against Wolves, 2 weeks ago, against Wolves, where he was constantly giving the ball away and being a real liability. But he definitely sharpened up in this game. He was a lot better in the build-up play, a lot better at linking the play when he was just keeping it simple. Like, we know that's what Emerson is good at, when he just keeps things simple, make sure his passes are finding a teammate and keeps the ball progressing. It was actually, he got forward a few times, wasn't really effective when he got forward, but at least if you make those runs, you just make the opposition think, and that's what he did a few times. And as you say, defensively, I thought he had Eze under control. That was really, really positive. And a few times, some of his defensive work did get us on the front foot for some attacks. So much improved from Emerson in this one.
Big Mickey van der Ven up next. Him gives him an 8. I gave him a 9. Again, I thought this guy was absolutely defensively flawless yesterday. A big battle on his hands against Mateta. It was really physical. Both these players going at it, especially in the first half. And I thought Van der Ven came out on top every single time. Every time it looked like Palace could be in behind or could spring an attack on us, he was there to mop up the pieces, as he is pretty much every game. And what a player and what a performance.
And considering in that first half, he was hobbling quite badly, and he had to went down injured, and it looked like maybe his day was going to end early. The fact that he recovered from that and went on to dominate Mateta and not give Palace a sniff was super impressive. Another outstanding display from Mickey van der Ven in that role of just mopping up anything that goes over the top, and that's what makes him such an effective defender in the way we play in the transition, because if ever we do lose the ball and they do have a long ball over the top, you just have that safety blanket of Van der Ven. You just know he's going to mop up anything that goes over the top, and he's so effective of that. I thought he had Mateta in his pocket by and large. And Mateta, can be a very difficult customer, and on occasion he tried his best to kind of get some spare change out of Van der Ven, but nothing was doing. Top display yet again.
Cuti Romero up next. 9s all round for Cuti. Another very good display from Romero, and this centre-back pairing is just growing week on week. I thought both of them just didn't have nothing got past them throughout the whole day, apart from that one slip-up that he did make in the first half, which I mentioned that Emerson was there to mop up for him. I thought it was amazing. Like, he didn't put in those kind of ground duels that we saw time and time again from Romero, but what he did was his aerial duels, and I felt like he was winning the ball back time and time again in the air, which is not maybe something that you associate with Romero to do week in, week out, and it's usually on the floor where he's super aggressive and he keeps winning the ball back. But the way he was getting us up the pitch, the way he found himself in the box to finish off that header as well from the Maddison looping through ball, so yeah, brilliant display.
Yeah, and I thought it was a top display. As you said, I thought Van der Ven had Mateta on lockdown, and I thought it freed up Romero a bit to get forward and try and help out the attacking side of the team. And obviously, he ended up getting the winning goal late in the game, which I'm not sure why. I'm trying to remember why he found himself in that position. Because was it from a corner and he stayed up? I don't remember, or he just found himself there.
I think he was just doing his usual Romero madness.
Because sometimes, he sometimes does that, doesn't he? He just wanders into the penalty area occasionally, and it's not the first time actually it's paid off, because I remember, I think it was against Brighton a couple of years ago, where he wandered into the penalty area and I think a shot deflected off him, and we ended up scoring.
I think we see it at least 2 or 3 times a game. He just ends up in the box for no apparent reason.
Maybe that can be a tactical, when we look at, if we don't have Richarlison available and we're looking to kind of whip get someone on the end of a cross from a high cross who's looking to win a header, maybe having Romero in the box occasionally will help out with that. And it was a really great header as well. It was a proper striker's finish. It was actually very similar to Darwin Núñez's goal against on the same day against Forest. Yeah, literally carbon copy, and that shows kind of how difficult and how impressive that header was from Cuti Romero. A really well guided, great glancing header into the corner, and I thought defensively he did everything pretty perfectly apart from that one moment. So a really top display, and now the highest scoring centre back in the league at the moment, apparently. So
is that right? Has Gabriel not got more goals than him?
Well, apparently he has 4. Which I think is probably level with Gabriel. So
I thought Gabriel got his 5th the other week, but maybe I'm wrong.
That's what I read on Twitter. Maybe Twitter's wrong.
Okay.
Maybe it's high scoring for Tottenham, but I don't think why would that be a thing. So
Gabriel might only be on 4. I might be wrong.
I think one of Gabriel's goals was given an own goal potentially.
So we're getting in through the back door.
Exactly.
But everyone goes on about Gabriel being like, oh, what a goal scoring centre back. He scores so many goals, and no one talks about Romero like that, which is interesting when they're on similar amount of goals.
Remember that goal we scored against Burnley? It's not just headers he scores; he has that quality, to score from range as well.
That was a brilliant goal, yeah. But that was kind of the odd one out, though, wasn't it?
It was.
Destiny Udogie, Sim gives him a 7. I gave him a 6. I thought defensively, nothing got past him throughout the day. He was making those lung-busting runs up the pitch, which I like to see. But what kind of frustrated me from Udogie was his passing on the day. I thought it did let him down from time to time, maybe rushing it, or maybe even sometimes taking a bit too far, a bit hesitant in the past. But apart from that, I thought he put in a good display.
Yeah, it was decent. Definitely not his best. We know that for sure. He's definitely put in better displays, Destiny. But I thought there was a few times where he was committing the Palace players with his lung-bursting runs, and that was pretty decent. But for some reason, he doesn't get there's occasions where he gets the ball forward and he doesn't get the ball to Werner quick enough, and then all of a sudden the chance is gone for him to get isolated with his fullback. It's definitely something that I've noticed with Udogie, and it's something that he needs to probably work on, I would say. But I thought another good display from him yesterday, pretty consistent yet again. Not his best, but he was decent.
Yeah. Yves Bissouma, Sim gives him a 7. I gave him an 8. I was delighted with Bissouma's performance on the most part yesterday. Just not because it's the best Bissouma display we've seen, but it's just been a lot better than what we have been seeing in previous weeks, especially after those 2 sending offs and that mistake at Man City. I think this is his best display since then, to be honest. And I think defensively, nothing got past him. I thought he was so dominating in the middle of the park. And as well, in the second half, he grew with confidence. You saw that confidence grow in him, and he started to drive with the ball and be that driving force that we know he can be, which we've been missing from him for so long now. So hopefully he can grow on that performance.
Yeah, I thought he looked more confident, taking a few more risks with his passing as well, which is very important when you want to, break down a very stubborn team like Palace, that you have someone more willing to commit a bit of risk to the play and risk drawing them out to kind of hit them in behind. And I think he was doing that a bit more with his passing, which was positive. I thought obviously defensively very, very strong, as he usually is, and there was definitely a step in the right direction with Bissouma. Still not at his very best, but definitely a better display than recently.
Rodrigo Bentancur up next, 6s all round from him. It was better, but still not great from Rodrigo Bentancur, definitely by his high standards that he has set himself since joining Tottenham Hotspur. I did think in the second half, there was a few flashes of the brilliance that we know that Bentancur can bring, but they were a bit few and far between. And I think at the end of the day, it was a bit lackluster from Bentancur, but I think it still was a step in the right direction. Gave the free kick away that did set Palace off on the way to go 1-0 up. But I guess it was positive because it was better than what we have seen in previous weeks.
Yeah, but even, Bentancur himself, you can see he wasn't happy with his own performance. Looked a bit despondent when he went off the pitch and looked really unhappy. So I do feel for him that maybe he just feels like he can't do right at the moment what he used to do, or definitely at the standard that he used to do, which is a real shame, to be honest. But it definitely wasn't a terrible display by any means. He wasn't, maybe that liability we've seen past few weeks where he was giving the ball away in some silly positions and putting Spurs under pressure. Definitely not on that standard. Still not the very best, but he seems to be growing, and hopefully the more game time he can have, the better he'll become, but he's still not quite there yet.
Yeah. And in terms of James Maddison, 7s all round for Madders. Again, another step in the right direction for Maddison. I felt like he was so aggressive. He was winning the ball back time and time again, winning duels. And that assist he had was absolutely brilliant. Over the top, looped pass straight into the path of Coutinho Romero, who obviously slotted it home. And I think Maddison was the one dictating the tempo of the play. He was the one trying to pick the lock, and I think he finally did that. So credit to him.
Yeah, really, really good from Madders. I think I for one think he's been pretty decent since he's come back from injury. I don't think he's put in any bad displays per se, apart from maybe the Wolves game. I don't think he's been bad, but obviously when he sets such a high standard as he did in those first 10 games, he hasn't quite, again, hit that kind of height. But I thought it was a really great assist for our second goal, for Romero's goal. Brilliant lobbed cross into him, and had to be pinpoint that because that would have been very easy to misjudge. And I thought he was buzzing around so much. He was getting on the ball. He was causing Palace problems. Again, as I say with Maddison quite a bit, we know just how effective he can be, when getting shots in front of goal and taking, and his finishing ability is so good. So when he doesn't get himself into enough shooting positions, I always feel like, come on, you've got such a great shot, you've got to be getting into more positions where you're making use of that. So that's one of the things, again, I would say about him in this game. But I thought, it's no surprise that he was the one who found the winner. Found a bit of magic to get us in the lead.
Yeah, it was always going to come from him, and I love the way that he just drops deep and does things that you don't associate with a Maddison to do, where he wins every duel he pretty much goes into, and he's a very aggressive player, which we need in those areas of the pitch. Next up is Timo Werner. 8s all round for Timo. Best display in a Spurs shirt. First half, I think. The whole of the Spurs stadium were very frustrated with him. He goes through on goal, 1-on-1 from the halfway line, tries to take it past the keeper and just fluffs his lines a little bit. But in the first half, I did feel like he was probably the attacker that was going to make something happen out of everyone. He was he saw a lot of the ball on that left-hand side. He was trying to attack the spaces just with little quality. But that changed massively in the second half, where he was attacking those spaces, but with quality. He was beating his man. He was getting good crosses in the box. He got his first goal for Tottenham. So you got to give him credit. Hopefully we see more of the same of what we saw in that second half.
Yeah, I would say this was definitely the performance where he's been most involved. Even games where he's maybe got assists for us previously, it's kind of been in moments of the game and not maybe a proper performance where he's really involved in all our attacking play. And I thought he definitely was in this game. Even obviously he had our best chance in the first half where he went for on goal, and that's also what he can bring with that pace he has in behind. If you what I like about Werner, what difference between him and say someone like Brendan Johnson, he likes that ball in behind, likes to run onto it, and he has that pace to get away from defenders. Obviously his finishing still needs a lot to be desired, but that kind of chance that we got from that transition, maybe doesn't happen if Werner was on the pitch. So he can bring that to us, and I thought he was very much a threat. But still quite frustrating that first half. But as you say, second half really came into his own. Muniz really struggled to deal with him on that right hand side. He was getting to the byline time and time again. He set up a chance for Brendan Johnson. He had another chance that flashed across the face of goal, which no one was arriving at the back post to slot in. He then had a shot saved by Sam Johnston, which was parried away, and then obviously he got his goal at the back post himself, which was really important for a player like him to be arriving at the back post from across from Johnson. That's exactly what Ange wants from his wingers, and he played it to perfection. So really, really positive display, and I really hope he carries on this kind of form going into next game.
It was just a nice step in the right direction to see him get some shots on target. Was it his first shots on target in a Spurs shirt yesterday?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, you're probably right about that.
And 2 in the same game. So big up to Timo. Next up is Dejan Kulusevski. We've got conflicting ratings here. Sim's given an 8. I've given a 6. And I think for the first hour, I was very frustrated with Dejan Kulusevski. I don't think he was impacting the play too much. I think when you're trying to break down a stubborn Crystal Palace side, you need Decky's creativity to really try and do that. And I think he failed to do it for the most part. But I do feel like that he improved once he moved into the middle and Brendan Johnson moved out to the right. We saw a couple of chances coming from him. I think it was 2 key passes on the day. But I still was a bit frustrated with Decky.
I thought he played pretty well, especially in that second half. I thought, especially before we scored, it looked like if we were going to create something, it was looking like it was going to come from Decky. Obviously, he set up a really good pass for Human-Son to hit the post, and he also set up the chance which led to Werner forcing his head out of Johnson as well. So he was starting to really influence the game, did move into the centre, and I thought him linking up on Maddison was really positive as well. I thought he had a pretty strong second half showing, to be honest, Decky. Obviously, first half was a bit anonymous like most of our team, but I was pretty happy with his second half performance, so I gave him an 8.
Wow. I think an 8 is a bit of a stretch for Kulu yesterday. I really do.
Maybe a 7. Maybe a 7 would have been fair. I think it was better than a 6.
Moving on to Heung Min Son. 8 all round for Sonny Boy. Lovely pass in the first half, wasn't it, to set Timo Werner on his way. And that's all we really saw from him in the first half, to be honest. But second half, I felt he really came alive. His movement was absolutely top notch. Got the goal as well, showed Timo Werner how to do it. And I thought it was just a really, really strong display in the second half. And he was just like doing that captain's example, wasn't he? Just leading by example and spurring the team on to go and win the game. Yeah,
and I thought it was really great to see him back in the number 9 position. As I say, I do think right now that is his best position on the football pitch when I look at Sonny, and I think he played it a pretty good game. That pass for Werner to play him in 1-on-1 was brilliant on his left foot, first time sweeping pass right into his path, and that could have created a chance. Obviously he did create a chance, could have created a goal. Obviously he hit the post in that first half as well with a really great finish in the second half, with a really great side foot first time finish, which was inches away from making it 1-1. He then set up another chance, I think it was for Timo Werner, and obviously ended up getting his goal, which was not easy. You know, you're running through, you got a lot of time to think about it, but you know Son, the composure he has, he's always going to slot it home, and he did it so confidently and so accomplishedly. It was a really, really great finish, and I think it capped off what was actually a really great display from Heung-min Son back in the striker position, so very happy with him.
The only sub we're going to rate is Brennan Johnson. Sim gives him an 8, I gave him a 9, and I thought the game completely changed when he came on, which is massive credit to Brennan, massive credit to Ange as well for the way he changed it. He just started attacking those spaces like Kulusevski wasn't doing for pretty much the majority of the game. He completely rinsed Joachim Andersen, and then the next defender as well, which I thought he got a bit of luck with, but he got the ball at the end of it to match, which was a lovely ball to the back post. Got another assist as well, where it was actually an underrated pass for that goal. So Brendan Johnson, 2 assists coming on for the last half an hour. I think you can't really ask for much more, to be honest. And 6 assists in his Spurs career so far this season, which is the same as someone like Martin Odegaard, who's considered as a serial assister.
Yeah, and he's showing being very adept to coming off the bench, doesn't he? Being a super sub does seem to impact games a lot better when he does play that kind of role. And obviously, you know, if it wasn't for him tackling Anderson, chasing that lost ball, taking it around him, and then obviously getting that assist, I don't even know if he would have scored, you know, if that moment didn't happen. So he has to get so much credit for forcing the issue and dragging us level in that game at such an important moment, because look, at that point, as whatever you want to say about our dominance, Palace, you know, had kept us at bay, and we didn't look like we were going to score until that happened. So massive credit to Brennan. I thought he came on and really impacted the game and showed his worth. And as you say, those goal contributions are starting to get a bit more regular. And, you know, 3 goals and 6 assists, that's not terrible numbers. It really isn't for a player of his age at this stage of the season. So let's hope he can build on some of this momentum he has. But I do wonder whether Ange will start considering him a super sub now, or whether he'll start some more games.
Yeah, I do still feel like I would start Kulusevski in the next. But having said that, against the high line of Aston Villa, it could be a massive threat to have Brennan Johnson on from the start. But the only thing is that Brennan, whenever he starts the game, he always puts in lackluster displays. So he needs to find out a way how to impact games when he is starting, because I failed to see that just yet.
Yeah, 100%.
Moving on, finishing off with Ange Postecoglou. Sib gives him a 7. I gave him an 8. And on hindsight, you know, well, Sim said it before the game, but hindsight, I feel like, you know, he probably should have gone with the 2 attacking players in the middle of the park, and maybe a Kulusevski and a Maddison together, or maybe even a Lo Celso and a Maddison, and stick Kulusevski out wide like he did. But you know, I can see the value as well, giving Bentancur more minutes in the legs, because he definitely needs it. You can see he needs it. So I can see both sides of the argument. We did fail to really hurt them in the first half and the early stages of the second half. And then once Ange did change it and bring Brennan on, he made the changes to impact the game and to change the game and to get us the 3 points. So I think it was much better in terms of Spurs display, much more dominating. I think, was it in the late 70% of possession? It was complete control. So you've got to give Ange credit for that, but we just got to figure out a way how to score in the first half, essentially, because we haven't done that in so long.
Yeah,
Bournemouth.
Yeah, it's a strange one, and I'm not sure why. I don't know whether maybe since Bournemouth, we've been playing a lot of teams who do play five at the back and are defensive in that sense and like to counter-attack us, like in general. Or it's just a case of we're just not on our game right now, or is it game state? Maddison was saying, after the game, how these teams do, the reason we get so many late goals is because these teams always try and block us and try and stifle us, and they can only do it for so long, when at the end we do tend to break them down late on, and it's very tiring for them to keep it up. So maybe that's just part of it. They can stifle us only for so long, and then the way we play football eventually breaks that door down. But I think obviously again, and second half, another improvement, which goes to show to me that whatever he's saying to them at half time, he usually does get them going again, and he does have an impact. And also his substitutions, I've criticised him in previous weeks where his substitutions were negatively impacted the game. For example, the Brighton game where we just got with some momentum, and then he makes a triple substitution, and that momentum kind of got sucked
It's funny
out.
Though, that Brighton game, because yes, you're right in what you're saying, they didn't negatively impact the course of the game, but then the subs combined to score the goals.
It's also true. But Johnson came on at the perfect time and impacted the game really positively. Ended up getting us over the line with the win, with him making an impact. So I thought the subs did well. I thought we played well. We controlled the game. It was a lot more controlled than we've seen in previous weeks. So pretty happy with him. But yeah, as you say, I do wonder whether in the future, in these kind of games where we know we're going to come up against a team that's just going to look to stifle us, it might be worth in these kind of games starting with an extra attacking midfielder, and instead of always, it seems as though the pattern in these games are we struggle to break the team down, and then in the 60th minute we bring on Brennan Johnson and put Kulu in the centre and have two attacking midfielders, and all of a sudden we look a lot more creative, and all of a sudden we look like we're going to break that door down. So maybe I'd like to see Ange maybe in the future, instead of going to that kind of thing for a last resort, maybe start with it in these kind of games and see how it goes from there. But look, great win, and did manage the game really well in the end.
And in terms of what you're talking about, starting the game like that, our next home game is Luton, so it could be the perfect opportunity to do that.
I would say so.
But that is our player ratings. Let us know if you agree in the comment section. Let us know your ratings in the comments as well, as we're going to move on to the 5 takeaways and see what 5 things we can take away from the 3-1 win against Crystal Palace yesterday. And the first takeaway that we've got is that Werner threat.
And I thought yesterday was definitely his most kind of involved display from an attacking point of view. He was really at the centre of a lot of things when it came to chances created and obviously getting the goal. He had 4 shots, 3 on target, which is more than he's had in any other Spurs game. 2 key passes and 2 dribbles, and obviously was able to get his first goal for Tottenham as well at a crucial time where we really needed him to turn up. Obviously that makes it now, I think, 1 goal and 3 assists in 6 Premier League appearances for Timo Werner. So look, I don't think he's set the world alight since he's been here, but he's definitely added something to the attack, which we're better off for having, especially with injuries that we've had. So really great display, definitely his best display probably in a Tottenham shirt. Would have liked to have him to maybe get that goal earlier. If he does score that goal in the first half, it's probably a different game, isn't it? So he has to make sure if he get those opportunities, he takes them. But I think in terms of his overall attacking display, it was the most involved we've seen him in the front line compared to some other games where he's maybe been on the periphery. Yeah,
and for someone that's been heavily criticised by myself, by the whole fan base, to be honest, the majority of games that he has played for Tottenham, to have 4 goal contributions in 6 games is nothing to be sniffed at, This is what we need going forward. We need players to step up and provide those goal contributions week in, week out. And even if he isn't, playing amazingly and like the Timo that we saw at Leipzig 3-4 years ago, he's impacting games, and particularly this one, I think in the second half he was absolutely brilliant. He was unplayable at times in that second half. Like even that ball that he put in that just went through everyone. I mean, Kulusevski should have attacked the back post. That was right on the money, and those are the kind of balls that Ange Postecoglou wants to see put in the box time and time again. And if he can do that on a consistent basis, I have no doubt in my mind goals will come from it regularly. So I'm very happy with Timo's performance yesterday, and even in the first half when he wasn't playing well, he looked a threat. Even though, like at the end of his runs, his quality was fairly poor, but he absolutely changed that in the second half. So I can't give him enough credit for that second half display. Definitely his best performance in the Spurs shirt in that second half. But we move on to number 2, and that is Johnson as the super sub.
Yeah, and Johnson came off the bench to get that assist yesterday, or 2 assists actually. He got off the bench yesterday, and that means that that's now 5 goal contributions off the bench for Brennan Johnson since joining Spurs. And in fact, out of his 9 goal contributions in total, 5 have come from the bench. So only 4 have come from starting. So he's got more goal contributions off the bench than from starting. So maybe that tells you what his role maybe should be for the time being at the moment, because he does seem to be more effective when coming off the bench. Obviously, he did come on and really change the game, and it was a really, really positive impact. But is that the role we should be seeing for him at the moment? Is he a super sub?
The moment, yeah, at the moment, because that's where he's earning his money right now, and where we've seen him start games and he's failed to have the impact which we know he's having from off the bench. And, with the attributes that he does have, very quick player, it's a valuable for him coming on against tired legs, and I think that's what we're seeing at the moment.
And I think he's making a really big impact. And it's not just those runs to the back post. The hassling and harrying of Anderson yesterday really forced that equaliser, and it was really, really positive. So I do wonder if he's a super sub. I doubt he'll want to see himself as a super sub, but clearly right now that's where his best work's coming from. Yeah, but he's a young player, just starting off at Tottenham. So I don't think he'll be disappointed that he's a super sub. I think he knows he's learning and he's growing within the team and within the game. So it will only stand him in good stead, won't it? And I think with Brennan Johnson, when we signed him for 50 million, I don't think we signed him to be a star of the show every week, starting week in, week out. Kulusevski had that spot down on his own on the right wing. So I think he needs to earn his stripes, and he's doing that from the bench. So long may it continue. And then when he starts, he needs to grab those opportunities, because he's not doing that right now. And hopefully, if he does start on the right wing at some point, that he will start to earn that spot, because he's got the attributes that can really hurt teams when they play, especially a high line against us with that pace in behind. So I want to see him use the tools that he does have when he starts, but it's great seeing it off the bench as well. Third takeaway we've got is a slow start again. Yeah, and for some reason at home, we have a bit of a problem at the moment where first halves we don't seem to come flying out of the blocks. We seem to struggle to break teams down, and actually more often than not, recently at home, we've been conceding the first goal. And actually yesterday made it 6 consecutive home games where we have not scored in the first half, and also 6 consecutive home games where we have conceded the first goal. Sorry, not 6. It was also 4 consecutive home games, 3 consecutive home games, that we've conceded the first goal at home. So there definitely is a problem, and it's a bit of a weird one, because this stretch has followed a stretch of 7 consecutive games where we scored the first goal, and not only did we score the first goal, we scored them all in the first half as well. So it's like the script is completely flipped. We went from a team where we used to take the lead early and lose it, which we did a few times, to now a team which we keep conceding the first goal and keep having to get back in the game and claw it back, which we have been doing recently. So it's a bit of a weird one for Ange to figure out why that's completely switched, and why we've gone from a team who used to score first and now we concede first. But for now 6 consecutive home games, we haven't scored in the first half of a Premier League game. So it's a bit of a strange one. It's in all competitions, because I'm including the City and Burnley FA Cup games in that as well. I do think it's a bit of a circumstance of teams maybe working out how to play against an Ange system, maybe trying to play with 2 banks of however many defenders and midfielders there are, stifle us, try and make it as difficult as they can for us to really hurt them, and then try and spring on us on the counter-attack. So I think it's a circumstance of that. But what's positive about it is that, apart from the Wolves game aside, we're figuring ways around it, and we're being able to work around that in the second half and come on really strong. So I do think Ange needs to work out how to start these games a lot stronger and to start creating chances off the off. But I think it's a positive sign that we're working things out during the game as well. Definitely.
In the fourth takeaway, we have got Romero, goal scorer. Yeah, and Romero obviously got put us in the lead yesterday with a really deft header to put us 2-1 in the lead. Now it's actually his 4th goal of the season, and apparently that no Premier League defender has scored more goals now than Cuti Romero this season. Obviously that follows goals from against Brentford, against West Ham,
and against
Burnley.
Was obviously 3 headers, and the Burnley one was just a really great strike from 25 yards, and that's maybe showing how he can be as much of a goal threat as he is a really great defender. And for all the talk of other centre backs who get on the score sheet a lot, no defender has now scored more goals than Cuti Romero, so really impressive.
Yeah, the top goal scoring centre backs are Gabriel and Romero on 4 and Lewis Dunk on 3. So yeah, look, credit to Cuti, because he never gets these kind of props. No one talks about him as like a goal scoring centre back, and like even when he's not scoring, he's always a threat in those areas of the pitch. Like, how many times have we seen him just pop up in those areas and maybe not get the goal he deserved from the risk that he takes? And not only that, but the way he can kind of just charge up the pitch at any moment. I think Romero has been such a valuable asset for us this season. And yeah, he can leave us a bit exposed at the back from time and time again. We saw it in the first half against Palace where when Emerson had to get him out of trouble. But I think it'll work a lot more in our favour than it does hurt us.
Yeah, I agree.
And then 5th and final takeaway is keeping pace with Aston Villa.
Yeah, and despite our victory, we temporarily closed the gap to Villa on to 2 points, and it did look like yesterday they were going to drop points and leave it very much open next week at Villa Park, and after they gave up a 2-0 lead to Luton. But unfortunately for us, they did get a 90th minute winner through Luke Dean. So as much as it looked like we were going to close the gap, it just meant we did keep pace with Villa at the end of the day. But still, really important we did that. We couldn't afford for that lead to stretch going into the game next week. And it really does set up a really massive fixture at Villa Park where a lot can be not decided, but a lot can be gained from that fixture. A bit of a 6-pointer here in the race for top 4. Obviously, it looked like United were coming back into it a bit. That win puts us 6 points clear of them, with them playing the Manchester derby today. So if they lose that, they'll be 6 points clear with the game in hand. So maybe it looks like Man United starting to fall away yet again from the top 4 race. But yeah, just at the moment, it looks like definitely between us and Villa, and it's going to be a very, very tight, close call.
And you know what? We absolutely owe Villa one next weekend. We owe them one because they came to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium earlier in the season. They robbed us. They absolutely robbed us blind. We should have been 3-4-0 up within the first half an hour of that game, and we weren't clinical enough. I think you mentioned it earlier in the stream that Sonny had about 3 goals offside that day, and Bentancur was absolutely insane in his first game back from the ACL, and he goes off injured with Matty Cash. And we owe Villa one this weekend, so I really hope we go there and put in a top display and go and beat them, because we all left that stadium feeling like, God, we should have won that game. Yeah. So look, it's a massive game. I don't think it's the be all and end all for the season in terms of getting top 4, but I think we've got enough quality to go in there and win, especially with their high line, with the players that we have. Sonny potentially playing through the 9, albeit Richarlison said he could be back for the game next week, which will be quite a turn of events, seeing as Ange said he'll be out for 3 to 4 weeks. But look, let's go there and win next weekend. We've got it within us. We've got it in our locker.
Man United won there a few weeks ago.
And they were 2-0 down. They won 3-2, didn't they?
No, that was at home, but they won at Villa. The home game. Yeah, they won at Villa Park. McTominay scored that late winner.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if they can do it, there's no reason why we can't go there and win.
Exactly. They're not the unbeatable force that maybe they look like to be at the beginning of the season. That's
especially
for sure.
At home, yeah.
So, that is the 5 takeaways. Those are the 5 things that we did take away from the game yesterday. If we have missed anything out, or you thought there was something you took away from the game that we haven't spoken about, let us know in the comments section. I saw a comment in there from Spurs King saying unplayable was a bit of a stretch for Timo Werner, Ben, but he was completely unplayable in that second half. Nobody could touch him. But look, let's get into reacts and see how the internet did react to the game yesterday. And what do we have up first? We've got Cliff Jones. Can you just refresh it? Apologies for that, guys. Yeah, we've got Cliff Jones there. Great win at Spurs Official. Lovely to meet Madders and my dear friend Coity. Thanks to all the supporters I met for your warm reception. And we were there at that moment yesterday. And Maddison gave a great interview. If you haven't seen it, it's on the channel now. And then it finished off with Cliff Jones, absolutely legend of the club, 61 double winning winger, and he gave us a rendition of "It's a Grand Old Team to Play For," and that's actually in the vlog as well from yesterday, so go and check that out. But it was a great little moment, wasn't it?
It was a beautiful moment. That's what I love about, players back in those days. They really these days, you won't get, these players don't know the history in these kind of songs like the old players and the old legends do. They really used to be part of the club, and used to because they used to grow up in Tottenham, a lot of these players, and that they used to really be ingrained in the club. They know all these these old songs, and obviously he knows it, he's singing it. And I'd love if some of our modern players could embrace that kind of thing, but I know modern players in general don't usually do it. But it's just great to see a club legend bellowing out an old Tottenham favourite song. Was really great.
You know what it is? It's like back in those days in the 60s, they used to go drink with the fans after the game and be in the pubs and be there when all those songs are being sung. So it kind of does make sense to that. The gap between players and fans were just there was no gap, basically. They used to drink after the games together. Now there's just it's two completely separate entities, basically.
Yeah, agreed.
Next one is from Meow62 saying, still found Werner so funny during the team huddle. For some reason, he's always so eager to run away. Madness had to hold him back.
Yeah, it's not the first time. He's not sure, doesn't know what's going on in the huddle. He seems to always want to run away, but brilliant stuff from Madders to make sure he's staying in with the team. I wonder what he's in a rush to get. Let's go somewhere.
He's on the rush to rinse people on the left-hand side. That's what he's in a rush to do. This next tweet is from 2Love2, and it's Heung-min Son's movement can be seen better in the fan line when Johnson with Son. Heung-min penetrated in an instant, looked to the side, stopped immediately, then turned backwards so the defenders were caught in the reverse direction. So he was able to pass in that direction and Werner finished. It's thrilling. It seems to be all three elements fit so well. And that bit of movement from Heung-min Son is absolute genius, isn't it?
Yeah, really clever from him. And you can see the defender tracks in, opens up the space because they know where the threat is, and they just left that open space for Werner to come in. It looked like it was a move that was being really well coordinated, so really good.
Yep. Next up, we have Watch Sonny. He said, sorry to Timo to celebrate. We're all going for 3, you silly goose.
Yeah. Timo goes off and celebrates, and so he's like, no, come on, let's go get another one. No time.
What's Timo doing? Why is he running over to the fans when it's 10 minutes to go?
Celebrate. He got his first goal.
Forget that first goal. The most important thing is the 3 points to the team.
Go on then.
Harry Kane always made a point of it. If you're scoring the equaliser, forget celebrate. You're going to get that ball. You're putting it on the centre spot. That's the mentality that we need.
Yeah, absolutely right.
Return of the Shelf is showing the flag that was put on by THC Flags yesterday, and it was brilliant, wasn't it? Actually,
yeah, really nice. First time I've seen that at the new stadium. I can't remember.
It's the first time it's been there.
Yeah. So there was a really nice moment before the game. I like these kind of fan initiatives that are being more and more brought in by used by the club and more by fans. So the more the merrier for me. I hope there's more of this stuff to come.
Yeah, and he says that the effort by THFC Flags to get to this point is unreal. Navigating safety, numerous tests, roadblocks, turning around the doubters, and finally it's there. Fan-driven moments are the way forward. Support them and they'll do great things, and I wholeheartedly agree with that.
Definitely.
Next up, this is a funny one from Swift Spurs. Spurs in the first half and Spurs in the second half.
Literally couldn't be more accurate. At the moment, we are very much struggling like that in the first half, but we do come on strong in the second. So I think that's how every Tottenham fan feels at the moment.
Amadou says, not a single cell in my body thought Sonny was going to miss that chance. What a baller. I remember saying that to you as soon as he scored that. It was like, did anyone in that stadium have any doubt in their mind once Sonny was past that halfway line that he was going to miss that chance?
This goal, you don't even have to, you can start celebrating as soon as he goes one-on-one because you know he's going to bury it.
Did anyone in that stadium have any doubt in their mind that Timo Werner was going to screw up that chance, that carbon copy in the first half?
Yeah, literally. Both cliches in themselves.
Issa is showing, this is what the Palace team was yesterday, and basically everyone in their own 6-yard box apart from Mateta, who was up front, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. It's pretty accurate, I would say. It was very, very defensive. They were very well set up, though, under Glasner. I have to say they were really tough, but thankfully, as soon as the pressure told, they couldn't really sustain. They couldn't withstand the pressure at the end. But I think Palace definitely gave it a really good go, and Glasner will be happy with how organised they look.
I did expect Palace to bring more of an attacking threat yesterday, though. I really did, particularly because of their second game under Glasner. We know how Glasner likes to play. He's defensively sound, but he's also very much an attacking threat, the way he likes to manage. And I think that is credit to the way the Spurs defenders, and particularly Basuma, Romero and Van de Ven played yesterday, and Emerson.
Well, I think there's a couple of things. There's obviously how well we played, and also I just don't think he has the players right now at Palace to do what he wants. You know,
and Eze though, like Eze usually can do it on his own. You know,
he had Eze, and he obviously won the free kick and scored it. That's the one moment he had. But you know, when you're playing like Mitchell, Joel Ward, these kind of players, like it's going to be too difficult to implement that kind of system.
Yeah, I did feel like it could have been a danger with Joachim Andersen there. We know the ball playing ability that he likes to have, and he does have. Like maybe some passes over the top for maybe Mateta or Eze to even run onto, but I think Van de Ven gobbled all of those up.
Yeah, it was difficult for him.
Cody Mack saying, I have not forgotten. Look at this death stare from Cuti Romero when he was on the sidelines in the Aston Villa game after Rodrigo Bentancur went off from that horrible Matty Cash challenge. Romero will not forget.
He's a wanted man, Matty Cash, you bet.
Carly T saying, Eze, you know where you want to be. And there was this very strange embrace after the game yesterday. This was Ange Postecoglou and Eze. Nothing really much in that. You see that at the end of every game. But if you look at the next picture, this was Heung-min Son. I think, is that Cuti Romero? And
I think it was Madders. Wasn't it Madders? Madders. I saw at one point Madders was
in
with
that
him
picture.
as well.
It's Romero.
There was one point it was Madders, but maybe it wasn't that picture.
Romero, Son, and Ollie Skip all went to hug Eze after the game, and they all seemed very pally with each other. Is there something in the workings for the summer?
Bit of tapping up, laying the foundations, maybe. I hope so. That'll be unbelievable if we can somehow convince Eze to come here, but. Guess it's going to be a case of wait and see. But look, obviously, Eze, everyone knows what a great player he is, and he showed it yesterday. It was another great audition from a player who Spurs are linked with.
Top player. Spurs Express is showing Richarlison on Instagram. Look at that with Richarlison yesterday in the vintage 99 Hewlett-Packard kit. And we were obviously sitting in the West Stand yesterday, and when we saw him come out, I mean, Sim just got so excited. He's like, what is Richarlison? Can you believe Richarlison's wearing that? It's unbelievable.
What a guy. He knows how to, what buttons to press to get himself ingratiated by the fans, and wearing that kind of shirt will definitely do it. And it suits him. Look, it looks good on him, doesn't it?
It looks beautiful on him. Madders THFC, just another picture of Ange and Eze yesterday.
So that's Brandon Austin.
It's Brandon Austin.
If you go down, it's Brandon Austin, Skip and Son. Maybe they know each other from like England under-21s or something.
Where's Son never played for England under-21?
Not Son, but Austin and Skippy. But
Skippy for sure. I don't know if Brandon Austin ever played for England under-21s.
Maybe not. But yeah, look, they seem to... I think Sonny is definitely tapping him up, isn't he? He's like, come on, come play for us. Come join us. You want to.
In the next one below, that's the moment you were talking about with Maddison
and
Heung-min Son.
Madders is cheeky enough to definitely he's like, put in a transfer request. Come on.
What's Son whispering in his ear right there?
He's like, you know where you want to be. You don't want to be here at Palace any longer.
Can you not see him point to the ground there? I'm coming here. That's what he's saying. Cho THFC just showing a clip saying that ball from Son was disgusting, and it really was.
Yeah, look at that first time. Look, he doesn't even look at Werner. It's actually unbelievable.
Is that not Harry Kane-esque, that ball?
Look, he takes one look. It's like he knows where Werner is without even looking at him. It's actually pretty crazy.
He learned a lot from Harry Kane. That's what it is.
Yeah, and that's what I've been saying this season. He's been really developing that side of his game where he's become more of a team player rather than before. So I think his passing and that kind of stuff, he's definitely been working on it a lot.
Madison on Instagram says, "Get in there, son. Son, not son.
My son.
At Cuti, my son at Cuti Romero. Patience was required today, and we delivered and turned it around. Happy Saturday. Come on, you Spurs."
Yeah,
and that was Richarlison getting in the act as well with the celebrations.
Great picture. Look at Romero's face in that picture as well. Absolutely fantastic. Brilliant.
Next one's from THFC Report. This was Sonny and Maddison at the end of the game yesterday, and we were watching them with a close eye, weren't we, when he came off, because they were sitting in front of us, and it was great to see that kind of synergy between the two.
Yeah, they got a lovely bromance, don't they, Son? I mean, Son has a bromance with everyone, but it's great to see it with Maddison off the bench and all happy after they got the winner as well. I thought there was a clip before as well with Maddison ruffling up Sonny's hair before, so really nice moment.
Pape Sarr tweeted this out saying, "Enjoy your weekend, Spurs fans," and he just gave a couple of pictures of himself from the game yesterday. Didn't play too long, and it was a bit of a worry with him dropping to the floor at a full-time whistle. Let's hope. I don't know what that was, to be honest, because we haven't heard anything about it.
I think Ange spoke about it, but I didn't actually see what he actually said. But apparently he spoke about after the game he had a bit of a knock, but he should be okay. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure what he said, to be honest.
Data MB with some stats for us saying no Premier League winger wins a higher percentage of offensive duels than Brennan Johnson. Only Michael Elise has a better dribble success rate in 69%, which
is surprising.
It's very surprising in terms of the offensive duels.
No, I thought it would be more surprising about the.
Well, I think both of them are surprising, but I don't even associate Brennan Johnson with winning too many duels.
I don't know what they mean by offensive duel. Is that just like a duel in the offensive part of the pitch?
That's what I understand from it.
Offensive duels. Yeah, maybe that's what that means. So no, that's a percentage, which means the amount he goes in for. I don't think he goes in for that many. Maybe that's the whole. That's the thing.
That makes more sense.
He does seem to attempt a few dribbles. So the fact that he's got quite a high success rate shows to me maybe he's better dribbling than we think. But that is very surprising because you don't associate Johnson with any of the elite dribblers or anything.
Yeah, because when you think of Johnson and you talk about dribbling, you just think he gets dispossessed every time.
Yeah, so
he just turns back. Well, that's not a dribble then.
Yeah, I guess maybe he doesn't attempt as many dribbles as we think because these are both percentages, but still, it's not bad to be top of those metrics.
I would like to see him attempt a lot more because I do see him turn back a lot when he has space to run into, which is a big source of frustration for me. But I would like to see the numbers of how many he actually has attempted because that's probably more telling. Pedro Porro tweeted this out saying N17 with a white heart. And hopefully he'll be back sooner rather than later.
He was doing a few things on social media, like kind of hinting that he would be fit, but obviously he didn't quite make it, did he?
He's just a troll, Pedro Porro. He told everyone to keep him in his FPL team.
Why would you do that, Pedro?
And then he's not playing in the game, but I do think he'll be back for the game against Villa.
Yeah, it seems so. We're going to need him.
And imagine against that Villa high line with his ball playing ability, it'll be invaluable for us. Spurs Express saying, absolutely colossal performance today from this man. Only his pace often gets the spotlight, but in truth, he's a Rolls Royce of a centre-back in every aspect. This is a Mickey van de Ven appreciation post. And this is what I've been saying pretty much all stream. I was in awe of his performance yesterday.
Yeah, he's like a cheat code, as we've said before with other players, but his speed and ability to just cover the whole back line is really, really impressive. And it gets us out of so many situations. And he was in another immaculate display yesterday.
This is Madders coming off the pitch yesterday with the smallest microphone in the world. Tottenham Hotspur says, Madders is all of us. And I think that's exactly how we were all celebrating the win yesterday.
And it was lovely to see Madders came to the H Club after the game as well and did a really nice interview, which is on the channel at the moment. So go check that out. But really great for Madders there.
Zeus tweeting out saying, love this club. Romero with an absolutely proper passionate celebration yesterday, kissing the badge, pointing to the badge. We know where he wants to be.
Yeah, big up. I'm very happy that hopefully he's not kissing the badge in vain like some other previous players, not for this club necessarily, but in football have done. But it just shows the love he has for the club. And there's always been rumours about Romero. Is he going to be here long term? All this stuff, but he does seem to love being here.
Yeah, and I think things have changed since Ange Postecoglou has come here. I feel like it's much more in line of the way he wants to play the game, especially as he's like kind of an attacking centre-back, isn't he? So I think it's definitely more in line the way he wants to play. And he's also been given more roles in the team, being vice-captain and everything. And I think he's feeling that responsibility as well. And he's also spoken about how London is his home and he loves his place. He wants to bring up his family here and stuff like that. So I think there's many reasons why he loves being at Tottenham. Next up, this is Axel THFC saying 6 assists this season for Brennan. I think, are people sleeping a bit on Brennan this season?
Well, yeah, probably, because if you speak to most Tottenham fans, they're still going to tell you, oh, he's this and that and not good enough. But, he's slowly starting to get more effective. He's showing what he can do when it comes to, timing of his run to the back post. He's, starting to get more and more assists now from the wing, which is really, really crucial for a player in his role. So I'm starting to... I think I've been critical of Brennan, but recently I can't complain. I think since to be honest, since kind of the turn of the year, he's been getting fairly regular goal contributions, hasn't he? Brentford game and the Brighton game, he got the winner, didn't he? So he's starting to really turn up regularly. And he got 2 assists off the bench, so I can't really complain at the moment.
Heung-min Son on Instagram says, yes, strong spirit to fight until the end from the boys. 3 points, come on you Spurs, with a very passionate picture from Heung-min Son. Spurs related tweeted out saying Tottenham completed 728 passes against Crystal Palace, the most that they have completed in a Premier League match since Opta records began in 2003.
A lot of passes. But I feel like in a weird way, when you're having that many passes, it can also be a bit of a problem. It means like you're not getting anywhere. That's why you have to keep doing those passes. But still, the fact that we've completed that many passes and in one match is quite telling.
Next up is from Bleacher Report Football, just showing the different stages of the game. Palace go 1-0 up on the 59th minute, Spurs on the 78th, Spurs again on the 80th, and Spurs again on the 88th. Spurs turn it around with another late show at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Great pictures to match as well. There's one of Heung-min Son. Look at that passion from Kuti Romero.
Yeah, I love it. I love Kuti's
There's
passion.
Romero and Son. And then finally, Timo Werner on the dance floor, last but not least. Next up, we've got Nobody Speak to Me to 3 to 5 business days. This is Van de Ven and Porro embracing each other after the game.
Big up Van de Ven. Love that moment as well.
And this is very telling of the way the game went. Just look at those progress bars from Axel THFC showing the flash score progress bars of the game. And it's just basically all Spurs for the whole game. Yeah,
literally very little blue there from Palace. They really struggled to threaten us for a lot of that game, so I think that proves it.
78% possession, creating 1.87 XG and conceding only 0.29 XG, 14 shots and 11 corners. Maybe it wasn't as bad a performance as we first thought, but I would say to have 78% possession, you probably want to be creating a bit more of an XG though.
Yeah, I mean, 1.87 is not bad if you're only conceding 0.29, but yeah, I think considering how much of the game we had, if you take away maybe the last 15 minutes, that actually is probably a lot lower, isn't it?
Yeah. Next one says, never talk to me about no Harry Kane. Romero is more coy than that fraud ever was. I think it's a bit harsh to call Harry Kane a fraud, the top goal scorer in Spurs' history. But you're looking at someone that is definitely ingrained within the club right now.
Did Kane ever kiss the badge, or was he always just kissing his ring?
I think he was always kissing his ring.
I'm trying to remember if he ever did kiss the badge.
Not that I can remember, to be honest.
So Romero's already one up on that.
Johnny H videoed the goal from the South Stand yesterday, Heung-min Son's goal. Great footage of that.
Yeah, lovely stuff. Great moment.
Harry Brooks says, sometimes Spurs just need to shoot the fucking ball or get on the half turn and run at them with momentum. You don't have to excel at 1v1s to run at a player with momentum and look to cause chaos. They're trying to only score, creating a perfect, clear opening. And I think this is what we've been saying as well for the past couple of weeks. Like, with players like Maddison on the team, why not just take a shot from 25 yards, you know?
And there was a few moments we had to do that as well yesterday, where we had a chance to pull the trigger and we just opted against it at the last moment and tried to try and play through them, especially in that first half. That's what it was like a bit. And yeah, sometimes in these kind of games, you just need a bit of luck, and maybe you take a shot, gets a deflection or something, and you can cause that bit of luck. And I agree with Harry. Sometimes we kind of try and carve open the perfect goal rather than just taking a bit of a pot shot or a bit of luck.
Spurs Express says Tottenham didn't allow a single shot in the last 30 minutes today of the match against Crystal Palace. Lock thing down at the back, and I think it really was a proper good defensive display yesterday.
Yeah, and we only allowed one shot that whole second half, so I think it goes to show how much we limited Palace.
These were the scenes at full time that Tottenham tweeted out yesterday. Spurs N17 turned into a nightclub once again. It's like no matter who we play, if we win, this place turns into a nightclub.
Yeah, and all the players are enjoying it. The fans are loving it as well. It's so great at the moment after wins at home. Really, really something. It's a joy to behold, to be honest.
Hotspur related saying no centre-back has scored more Premier League goals this season than Kuti Romero, which we've covered. Spurs Watch saying Richarlison has stated he is returning to training and may have a chance to play against Aston Villa next weekend, which also mentioned. Yeah,
that would be a big surprise if that is the case, because Ange, saying 2 to 3 weeks and even 3 to 4 weeks. In another press conference as well. So if he is back next week, I'd be very surprised. But I do wonder, if he is back, does he come straight back in, or do we keep Son in there?
I think against Villa's high line, you want Son central.
That's what
I think that we need to keep Sonny in there for this game.
I agree.
Palace FC, the Palace FC saying having Van der Ven in defence should be considered cheating.
That's coming from a Palace fan, so goes to show how frustrated he probably was after watching Van der Ven yesterday.
Invert the Wing saying the record for possession kept in a game is 85%. Tottenham have kept 82% possession. Stay calm, a goal will come. I don't know how people are looking at this and saying it's a bad performance. Much more fluid and better getting into the box. Players just need to find urgency and shoot more. And that was at half time.
That must have been at half time. So, well, I mean, it's still 82% possession. I think he was right in the end, wasn't he? And we did. The pressure did tell in the end.
Invert the Wing, always predicting the future. Coutu Romero saying this is the way. Great victory. We will continue to working to improve, and this is the way. Always to all together, always.
Yeah, lovely from our vice captain.
Timo Werner said, I wanted to celebrate, but when I saw that no one was coming over, I remembered that was only 1-1 and we had to go get another goal. He's always jumping the gun, Timo.
He's always too honest, isn't he? I actually love it. Love Timo, though. I'm loving him.
And this is the last one that we have for you. This was a little child brought a picture of himself and Ashley Phillips and Van der Ven, and it said on the thing saying, you came to see me at hospital, so I came to see you play. Lovely little touch there from that little kid.
Yeah, really, really nice moment there. Great thing to end it on.
All right, so there we have it. That is the stream done and dusted for you. We'll be back tomorrow for more Spurs content for you guys. But thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Great to get back to winning ways. Great to be all smiles and happy in the studio for the first time in a couple of weeks. But we'll see you all tomorrow. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.